minute, fella. Look here.
Stand by.
One for C-Lab, two for Troy Eagle, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Broadcasting live from inside the power band, this is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, the Wolverine, along with my companion and sidekick, Combos.
Yo.
Welcome to the show, folks. This week, Chad will not be joining us as he is in transit from the United States to Australia. So it's just Head in a Jarhigo and myself, and we decided to tackle a fun, quirky little Coen Brothers movie, and that would be The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which was a Netflix release. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I didn't think I'd seen this before, and then I realized that I had.
Yes.
Only I never finished it.
Yeah.
I think, like all the segments are filmed excellently. They're done very well. I just think it has a little bit of a tone problem because you start off on this sort of whimsical, singing, Tim Blake Nelson fucking kind of musical, sort of lighthearted, dark humor.
Ballad kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, and then it just gets fucking darker and darker and darker.
Wow.
And it's kind of a bummer, because and maybe this is on me, but number one, I forgot it was an anthology. And I'm not the biggest fan of anthologies, but that doesn't really have anything to do with it. It's just that the tone set by the first segment leads you to believe that you're going to get more of that. And it just kind of goes down the fucking tubes. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's kind of it, I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know how other people feel about it, but
No, that's, well, okay. So I have seen this before, but I realized in watching it again, and I watched it just now before we started, that I was either falling asleep as I was watching this going to bed or had some sort of fragmented watch because I didn't really recall the first sketch or the first vignette, and I didn't really recall the last one very much either. So it was good to be able to absorb it. And, hearing your comment, wow, yeah, you're right on about that, man. I didn't even think about that, but that's exactly right. And this is a really great place to start anyway. That's exactly right. And because I've encountered projects and, sort of like films like this before where, you could kind of sort of maybe throw Sin City into the sort of in structure. Obviously, that's a better example or a better execution, I think, because the tone is the same in every single one, But in this one, you're right. You get really kind of hyped up for this surreal kind of Coen Brothers, somewhat lighthearted Western, and then you're right, dude. It does get darker and darker as we go. I hadn't even thought about that, but it's 100% correct.
It gets your appetite whetted for Big Lebowski, and then it just keeps throwing No Country for Old Men at you,
Yeah, wow.
Which is, it's as valid as anything, I suppose. It just for my tastes,
sure,
it's almost like they should have gone the other way around. Plus, I was just so enamored with that first vignette, with Tim Blake Nelson. It's just so kooky, and it's got such a great tone to it that, by the time it came to a close, I was like, oh, that's a bummer. I wonder if they're going to pick up, further down the line, showing an earlier adventure or something. And it just it never happened,
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking may happen, or there would be some bleed in between the vignettes, like a character would appear, or this would be somehow ultimately part of the Buster Scruggs story, but really like none of the other vignettes have anything to do with Buster Scruggs. You know what I mean?
Nope.
So I think like, I guess my like, well, I probably shouldn't say that now, but I'll just say this. Like, I like it. Like, it's great. It's beautifully shot. It's, you know, obviously like the next evolution of the Coen brothers, because they're always doing more. They're always doing it better. That's what's so great about them, right? And that's what you love about them. But at the same time, one of the other things that's cool about them is they're not afraid to take a left and try something different in terms of like a type of film that they haven't done before, you know? Now, that's nobody's fault, but that may not be to everybody's taste. And while I did like this movie, and I liked, you know, all of the sort of Coen Brothers-y goodness you get in all of the vignettes, it's a tougher sell to like the sort of the general populace, dude, you know, to come in with like a lighthearted opener like that. And then all of a sudden it's over. You know what I mean? Because homie gets shot in the head. And then it's like, and then we're just like descending into darkness, you know, from there on out. You know what I mean? And that's not everybody's going to love that, man. You know, like even now thinking back on it since you made that comment, I'm like, wow, yeah, it's kind of dark and depressing, dude. You know what I mean? Like the last one's super morbid. Yeah. The one before that with the girl is like, it's sad. It's sad. It's prairie. Super sad. You know what I mean? Like, and then, you know, the armless, legless guy.
That one, man. I was like ready to tap out at that. Like that's.
I know. It's so bleak. You know what I mean? It's so bleak, man. And then, you know, the gold one sort of ended kind of on a high note, but, you know, it was like still kind of, you know, fucked up and dark. Poor old Tom Waits finally finds his gold, and it's like, you know, gets shot in the back, dude. So, you know,
so
yeah,
good in
it's
that segment. That was really good.
Well, let's talk about what's good, because there's so much good here. This is a really interesting.
Again,
I'm really glad we picked this.
I'm not shitting on it. I'm just saying that like it you know, that had an effect on me where, you know, that's kind of like a personal thing that I wouldn't deduct, you know, for a rating. I wouldn't be like, well, it sucked because of this, you know, like it's obviously what they intended. Yeah. So it just wasn't my cup of tea, like that they put it together like that.
And I actually agree with you, man. Like, I think it would have been better to kind of bill it out a little bit differently, you know? Because, like, even when I watched it this time, not remembering it as well as I did the last time, I was expecting, like, oh, you know, there's going to be, like, this Buster Scruggs through line through the whole thing. Like, these are kind of like his adventures, you know? Like, it's like a chronicling of the guy's life. Right. You know, however goofy or otherwise it may be. Right. So, you know, like, I'm not totally nuts about that either, man. Like, taking all the vignettes on their own, I mean, they're all excellent, man. There's no question about it. You know, I mean, I guess I'll start off with, like, well, let's start off with the Tom Waits one, because you just said how good he was in that.
Yeah, let's do that. All Gold Canyon.
Yeah, All Gold Canyon. I mean, you know, again, like all of them, like incredibly well shot, beautiful cinematography. The cinematographer that they used in this, they've used on 4 different films that they've done, and everything looks beautiful, especially in this one, man, because that valley is so gorgeous and iconic and all of that.
Absolutely, I was going to say, great, amazing location.
My God, man, so good. It's amazing. It's amazing to me in this one. Like, I mean, one thing is that Tom Waits is a singer. He's not an actor. He's done
quite a bit of acting. But
No, I know that. That was the next thing I was going to say.
He's not an actor first and foremost, for sure.
Well, not by trade, for sure. He's a musician that kind of came into the acting world and started doing some interesting and weird shit. You know, he was in Dracula and all these other things, man. And like now he's been in a lot of stuff. And man, you know, it's like it's really hard to do so much with not a lot of dialogue, you know? And usually those are your like super seasoned actors or your super skilled actors, you know? So my hat's off to him, man, because like he doesn't really say a whole lot in this, man, and there's so much conveyed in it, you know.
Yeah, and to carry the whole thing by yourself, you know,
Yes,
is a feat. So
absolutely.
just one of those, like, I wasn't sure at first, you know, like you see him like kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
walking the donkey and he's singing and I'm like, is that fucking Tom Waits? I think that's Tom Waits.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
like, it is Tom Waits.
Totally.
Yeah, just the whole thing with Mr. Pocket and like, you know, the little segment with the owl where he's like, how high can a bird count anyway? Just great little bits like that.
Exactly. Well, it's a cool, like, you know, like they're all cool glimpses into different parts of, you know, life in that time period, however sort of fantastical they may be by the way that the Coen brothers kind of do things, you know, but like it's a cool, like I like that one in particular because it was very much like a snapshot into like, you know, the world of a prospector, man, you know, even though we only get a short glimpse, you know, and I think it's accentuated by the fact that it is just him and he's carrying the whole thing and you're really just getting to see him sort of like, you know, move and operate. Obviously it changes at the end, you know,
Yeah.
but you know, I kind of like that about it. You know, it's very solitary, but it's not lonely, you know, and it's just got a cool feel to it, you know, and you're sort of interested and you're wrapped on what he's doing like the entire time. Like I was like, what, you know, like I knew that obviously he was panning and digging for gold, but it was like, you know, just interesting watching the whole thing.
Yeah. And funny, you know, like I had seen this before. I didn't remember like the outcome of that one. And the whole time I was thinking like, what's to stop somebody from just rolling up on him and taking everything from him once he's done all the work? Like,
exactly.
Boom. That's sure as hell what happens. Like,
that's funny, man. I thought about that throughout like many of them. You know, I kept thinking about, you know, just like anybody could just roll up and just steal all your shit anytime. Like you know, when the dude rolls through with the theater wagon, you know, I was like, my God, look at all the crap on the top of that wagon, man. Anybody could just take it.
I guess that's why like penalty for fucking theft was pretty much death most of the time.
Yeah, right?
Because there weren't many guardrails in place to stop anybody. You got to really want something to do it.
And I think like, to your point, like, you know, I was thinking about that and I was thinking about like, my God, dude, you're out there. Like, this is your life, man. You're prospecting out in the middle of literal nowhere, unexplored country, man. And you're alone. So I was like, what if a cougar just like jumped out and launched in on that guy, you know, as he was panning in the river, you know, like what, like you said, like
a fucking bear, like wolves, anything. Yeah.
Anything can run up on you, fall in one of those holes, break your ankle. And then, you know,
fucking done. You're done.
Some random dude comes and just sort of invades his little wonderful world of Pocket.
And yeah, that's exactly what happens. That was what I was expecting the entire time. And it's just like, it's done really well. He's just down in the hole. Like he finally finds the fucking mother lode. And, you know, he sees like a shadow ship behind him and he's just like, fuck, do I reach for the fucking hammer? And like, before he could even do anything, he gets shot. And I was like, oh God, here we go. Another fucking dark. He's just dead. Totally. Great. And then like the surprise of him fucking jumping up and fucking struggling with the fucking shooter and then taking him down, running down to the fucking stream and being like, it fucking missed everything important. Woohoo. Like, Jesus, dude, like guys were tough back then. They're like, nope, it's fine. Didn't hit nothing. Went through. Like, yeah, you know, you'd probably be shitting blood for the fucking, you know, foreseeable future, but, you know, whatever. Rock on.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of was like, I think my original reaction to that was that I was like, oh, this is so weird. It's like some random dude rolls up, and it's like we don't ever know who that guy is and all this
Yeah.
kind of thing. But it's like that's sort of the
Yeah,
point
it
of the
is a
entire thing.
little bizarre.
you
It's
know?
like, what, no horse? No fucking
Is it?
nothing? Dude was just, probably had been
Right?
following him for quite a while.
There. Well, either that or he had been nearby
Right, that
randomly
too.
and heard the dude singing and was like, oh, I might as well go check that out. Shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was again, that was the point of it, was that it was like that and you really never know, and I don't know. It was cool, but again, like you pointed out in the beginning, which is now sort of I can't stop thinking about it, is dark, it's dark. Like all these stories are like so dark except for the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that one's one of the less dark ones, it's pretty dark what happens,
Agreed.
but it sort of
Agreed.
has a happy ending, and it's gorgeous throughout. Like the lands, the land that he's on is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably the second least dark.
Yeah, I was going to say the second one is sort of not, it's more action packed. It's not quite as dark, but like it's still bad.
Yeah. I guess that one's kind of dark humor as well.
Sure.
Like out of the frying pan into the fire and then back into the frying pan.
Back into the frying pan. Exactly. I mean, the first one is as light as the first one is. It is dark because it ends so dark and it's so quick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he gets shot, but then he's like fucking flying up to heaven with the fucking angel wings and his harp and shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of cartoonish, like it's very cartoonish, that first one. It's almost, like a Warner Brothers cartoon.
Yeah, it is. And it's very funny, dude. And it's, when all the violence is going on, you're just kind of like, ha ha ha, because he's so like funny and kind of larger than life as well,
Yeah, it's kind of slapsticky, like when he fucking
totally
when he stomps the table and clocks fucking Clancy in the head, like I half expected birds to fucking like appear and fly around in circles around his head.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a side note, I feel like we've talked about this before, like, and this is certainly my opinion, like Clancy Brown, there's never enough Clancy Brown ever. And
No.
I feel like he's always in these like little roles like this where he gets clipped out in like, 5 minutes, dude.
Yeah, that was criminal, but it was great to see him in the part anyways.
No question about it. I just was bummed out because I remember looking at the cast list and I was like, oh, yes, Clancy Brown again. And then it's like, okay, all right, you're dead.
Hey, there he is. There he goes.
And there he goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the first one, man.
I love that his horse's name is Dan.
I like that too. It just had such a cool rhythm and a cool pacing to it,
Oh, yeah.
Just like so full bore with the song when we open on it, and then all of a sudden, boom, he stops. And then he starts talking about the horse named Dan, all of that stuff, and like the way the songs come in, it's just so great. And the songs are so good, and they're 100% Tim Blake Nelson too, man, which I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's that short is one of the favorite things I've seen Tim Blake Nelson in, and he's awesome. Like he's been fucking excellent in everything I've seen him.
I know,
but it's like he does such a great, like, the singing is terrific, and then just like the fourth wall breaking, and that just larger than life cartoony characters, super lovable and memorable.
Very much so. Yeah, this guy, you're right. I don't think there's a single thing I've seen him in that I didn't like him in, or I didn't think that he was doing a top-notch job in. He's always great like this, and this is no exception. I just this is the kind of guy that I watch, and I'm just like kind of like Clancy Brown, but Clancy Brown's been around and he's like done a lot of cool stuff,
Mm-hmm.
People know about him, This guy, I'm always rooting for this guy. I always want this guy in more stuff. He should be in more stuff. He should be doing more stuff. Like more people should be able to appreciate his work because it's so excellent.
Yeah. He pops up for these just,
Things.
really memorable small roles, like in,
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I mean, most of the time, yes, with the exception of like Watchmen, the show, like he had a pretty big part in that.
To be fair, I was thinking about like, Oh Brother, We're Out Though, but that was a fairly large part there too. It's just that he doesn't have a lot of play in it. But the whole, it should turn him into a horny toad.
Yeah. Totally. And I mean, also, like a lot of people, this is so like out of the mind of so many people because Marvel wanted it this way. But the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton is actually a really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that was way back at the beginning, man. I own a copy of it and I've seen it many times. Like, there's nothing wrong with that movie at all. It's great. And Tim Blake Nelson is in that movie. So he's the scientist that Banner is like corresponding with to try to figure out what the cure is, and then we finally meet him at the end. And then, of course, at the end, he turns into he doesn't turn into the Abomination, but whatever. He turns into something else. But like,
yes.
We get a good dose of him at the end, man. And he's really good in it, man. Really good in it.
Fuck, I forgot all about that. It's been a while.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think everybody forgot about it because Marvel wants everybody to forget about it, and it's like, you can't. It's really good, man. It's got, what's his face is in it that we love there. Holy shit, dude, that is such a death.
What's his face that we really love? Sam Rock.
No, dude.
No?
I wish you could punch me or slap me through the phone. Holy shit. This is embarrassing.
Sam Elliott.
No, it's not Sam Elliott.
Is it a Sam?
It's not a Sam. And actually, no, it's William Hurt. William Hurt plays Thunderbolt.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Right? And then we get to see him again later on in some of the other movies, which is cool, reprising his role.
Sam Elliott was in the Ang Lee one, right?
Yeah, Sam Elliott was in the
okay.
Ang Lee one,
Right.
yes. Fucking Tim Roth is the actor I'm thinking of, and I should, this is more than a death. This is like a nuclear death. I should be taken out behind the chemical shed and shot death.
Shot up with chemicals, that is.
Yeah, well, then possibly shot in the head. Yeah, no, that's the guy I was thinking of was Tim Roth. I love Tim Roth. I have always loved Tim Roth and everything he's done. He was in The Incredible Hulk, and he was great. So it was like him, William Hurt, like, what's her name? Eowyn or Arwen.
One of the Wens.
Norton, all these people, Tim Blake Nelson's in it. It's great. It's really, really good, I mean, it's funny, like, of all the superhero movies, nobody ever talks about it, but it's actually one of the really good ones, man. Like, there's some other ones in there out of the whole catalog of them that are, kind of stinkers, man.
Yeah. I mean, that was the start of the Hulk arc, and then if they want people to forget about it because they had to recast him, basically, right? I mean,
it's exactly sort of the thinking there, yeah.
But if I remember properly, even the first bits we see of now I'm dead. The guy who's playing the Hulk now, Ruffalo, Mark Ruffalo. Like, he just picked up where the story left with
yes.
So, yeah, I don't know. That was weird. It's always weird when they have to do a recast, I guess. Yeah,
it is, but like, I think it's more common now, and it's more of something that that the people can handle more easily. Like it's like a known thing, you know what I mean? It's just like, and people are well, like I said, people are more used to it. So it's not like the end of the world when it happens. I think they make a bigger deal of it than it is, It's like they recast Rhodey. Nobody gave a shit about that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not the Hulk. He's not the main character, but still, dude.
Yeah.
Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle.
Deaths, yes.
Yeah, the deaths.
I did squeak it out, but I don't think I made it. I think I squeezed in under the wire.
What, for the death?
Yeah, I did come up.
No,
I did pull Mark Ruffalo out, but
you did. I gave you a death anyway. Should I erase that death?
No. My deaths are few and far between, so let's just keep it.
Let's roll with it.
It's,
that's good.
Ceremonial at the least.
No, that's good. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, so at any rate, we kind of got on this little side thread cul-de-sac by talking about Tim Blake Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
So, everything I've seen him in is fantastic, and he's really excellent in this. So, great little nugget. There weren't a lot of nuggets. In fact, now I think they're just kind of trying to make up nuggets out of thin air in Let's Make Nuggets Not Fun to like make it look cooler, which is lame. But one of the things that I did like was that he had 6 months to learn how to play guitar, do all the gun tricks, and sing and play guitar. And his son taught him how to play guitar, and he had a blast learning how to do that and all the gun tricks, which I thought was super cool.
That is really cool.
It is cool. And when he does all the gun tricks, I mean, like, that's the other thing that's very cool about the first one is that we get to see some very cool classic Western shootout action, but it's like really good, man, with like some really cool trick shots and some awesome fast draw action,
Absolutely.
Maybe a little bit fantastical, right? But excellent.
But excellent, yeah. Not fantastical in a
bad
way. Yeah. I mean, just the tone of the whole thing makes it pretty easy to swallow,
Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
If it were like I don't know, like a Clint Eastwood movie or something, then it would be weirdly out of place. But in this, it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think, I love Westerns, man. And I think we are in the middle of certainly a resurgence, if not somewhat of a renaissance of Westerns right now. Like, there's a lot of Western fans out there, and there's a lot of Westerns that have come out in the last 5 years alone, not to speak of what's come out in the last 10 to 15 years. And I think that it's really gained a lot more popularity in the last 5 years. People are really into them again. And there's a lot of really cool Western stories being written, man, and
I am drawing
as quirky
a blank
as this
on that front.
Well, I mean, if you just go on Netflix, for instance, and just type in Western, you're going to see a bunch of stuff that you've never seen before. I can think of 4 or 5 off the top of my head that have come out in the last 5 years that are really great. Like on Netflix, there's a really great one with Mads Mikkelsen. I can't remember the name of it, and it should still be on Netflix, but it was absolutely excellent. John Cusack, who has not made a lot of movies at all in the last 10 or so years, did a Western with, I'm going to blank on this kid's name, and this might be another death. He was in...
it's just going to be that kind of a show.
It might be that kind of show. He was in Dogtown and Z-Boys. He was in Lone Survivor with Mark Wahlberg. And I can't think of his name, but he was in it with Cusack. And it was a really great story. Another one that I just rewatched, which is Hostiles with Christian Bale and Rosamund Pike. That's a really good one. That's kind of an, post-Civil War, taking an Indian prisoner, back to the reservation kind of story. That was excellent, man. So there's just a whole slew, that have come out, like The Power of the Dog with Cucumber Patch.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. You know, there's lots of stuff out there, man. I threw another one into my queue on Netflix called Montford, and it's about a half Chickasaw, half white rancher during that same time period. It looks really like the story looks intriguing. So, you know, the point is that there's so much of that that's come out. And, you know, this is no exception. Another one is Godless, which was actually a kind of a limited series on Netflix that had Michelle Dockery from, God, I literally cannot remember shit tonight. Wow. It was that really popular British show on the BBC that I watched most of, if not all of. Oh my God, dude. Wow. What the fuck was that show? Yeah, everybody was into it.
Fucking
it was
phenomenon, whatever. My mother watches it.
Yeah, 4 years ago. Do you know what I'm talking about, or are you taking the piss out of me?
No, I know what you're talking about, and I can't think of the fucking name of it either, but I never watched it, so it was that an excuse.
It was actually really good, man. It had Maggie Smith and like all these really great actors in it. I cannot remember for the life of me what the hell the name of it was. Somebody's probably listening to us do this like I do.
Extremely frustrated right now.
Yeah, like I do when I listen to other podcasts. Hang on one second. I have to look this up. I'll even take the death for it. It's worth it. Downton Abbey. God damn it, dude.
That's the one.
That's it, folks. Downton fucking Abbey. So anyway, if you watch Godless, it's on Netflix. It stars Michelle Dockery, and it has this other actress named Merritt Weaver, who's fairly well known from some TV work that she did. But like, it is excellent, man. Excellent. It's got Jeff Daniels in it. And it was one of these things where I saw that she was in it, and I was like, how could that chick that played this stuffy, posh, you know, British elite, like, I was like, there's no way she's going to be able to, you know, play some rugged frontier woman. And holy shit, did she ever knock it out of the park? Like, that is so worth watching if you're into Westerns. So, yes, I think that Westerns are in a kind of a resurgence and a renaissance right now, and I'm very happy to see that as a fan.
I do like a Western.
I know you do.
I do.
I just wish Tom Selleck had made more of them, man.
Tom Selleck is good in a Western.
So anyway, getting back on track, what else, anything else about the first one, dude? And if not, we can move on to one of the other ones.
I think we covered it pretty good.
All right. Moving right along, man. Second one. It's called Near Algodones.
Algodones.
That's it. Algodones.
Or Algodones. I don't know.
Algodones.
I don't know.
Either way, it's got James Franco and one of my personal favorites, Stephen Root.
Oh, he's so good in that.
You know, it's really short, but it's really good. And it's really, God, Stephen Root, man. Guy is just so good. Everything he does is just so interesting and different, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's so good at playing quirky characters as much as he is playing just sort of regular, quote unquote, characters, you know?
Yeah.
I just absolutely love him, man. And this is no exception. He's great in this.
This is one of those quirky characters.
Definitely. This is a total quirky Coen Brothers thing. Yeah.
The fucking bank teller that's just like waiting to be robbed.
Yeah, right?
It's just like he's so excited about the whole thing, man. It's fucking hilarious.
Because you know that dude's been standing there for weeks, nothing to do, man.
Just bored out of his fucking mind, but yeah.
Right? You know, it's like a brick building out in the middle of literal fucking nowhere. It's like a field. Like there's nothing. You can see the horizon in every direction.
Every fucking direction.
And it's like a well and a tree, you know?
Yep. It's like he put it there so that it would fucking constantly get robbed. Like, you get the impression this is not the first time this has happened.
No, it's not. And I mean, he
even
says that.
Yeah, he says as much.
But he also says attempted robberies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he doesn't say robberies. He says attempted robberies, you know, and I think you're right. Like I think he's probably so bored with what he's doing, man. He can't wait for somebody to come in and do that. He can't wait to like, you know, pop off the shotguns and then run in the back and hook up all the pots and pans, dude, and run like a mental patient outside. What? It's true, dude.
Oh man, it is just he just shows up with the shot. Yeah, it's again another fucking very memorable character from him.
Yeah.
Did you see Barry? Did you watch Barry?
The television show?
Yeah.
With Jack Black?
With
Am I thinking of something else?
well,
no.
Steve Reed was in it, and fucking what's his face? SNL guy. Jesus Christ! Again, a death.
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader. Yes.
Right?
Yeah, and Henry Winkler. If you haven't, it's really good. I don't think they stuck the landing personally, but for the most part, it's great.
Yeah, but wasn't that an HBO offering?
It was.
So them not sticking the landing would be sort of par for the course there.
It would be par for the course.
Right?
I mean, it wasn't because like it got canceled or they had to hurry the story up. It was totally
Just
the choice
fizzled
of
out.
Bill Hader, but I just thought it was not great. It was another downer, you know, like kind of another sort of dark ending to something that had a lot of humor.
I know exactly what you mean because we've talked about that many times, and I agree with you 1,000%. Yeah, I haven't watched this. I need to watch this, man.
You need to watch it. It's good. It's totally worth your time. It's great.
Okay.
Fucking NoHo Hank is fucking hilarious.
Nice.
Bill Hader's great, and then like Stephen Root is just like has the most bonkers fucking character arc.
I love it, man. You know, I love that. I've loved that dude since news radio. Like, not a lot of people got into news radio, and it was not popular when it was on, but like, I loved it, man. You know, I loved it then, and I've loved it subsequently when I've been able to find it in a place that I could watch it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good show. And Stephen Root, again, is really great in that. That was my first exposure to the guy. And, you know, obviously Office Space would probably have been the second, in which he played like one of his most iconic quirky characters, man. Milton,
oh my God.
You know.
Milton.
You know, so good.
I was told.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know how you can not love this guy. And then he does something like, you know, Man in the High Castle, which is very kind of straightforward and dramatic. And he's super powerful, man. It's not just that he can be funny. Like he occupies this weird space where he's like great in these like little weird character parts, of which he does a lot of. And then he can totally just carry anything, you know what I mean? And do anything dramatic and really excel at all of them, man. You know?
Yeah, he can be really intense.
Really intense.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that I've mentioned it before on the show, but I'm a huge King of the Hill fan, and he plays Bill Joe Treve on King of the Hill, and he did that for 14 years. Like, again, talk about a quirky character, man.
He crops up everywhere, and he's great. Like he's not criminally underused.
No, he's not.
He pops up everywhere, and he's just great. He does a ton of voice work, man.
Yeah, he does. Guy's got a great career, man. Wish I had his career.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. I love that guy.
Really excellent. So, you know, he kind of adds a lot of like flavor to this. Like, even though he's only in it for like literally 5 minutes, you know, like
if that
might even be less than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He adds so much memorable flavor to it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that it's just, it's excellent, man.
He kind of makes it. I mean, James Franco is good, but
yeah,
I weirdly couldn't place him. I was like,
what do you mean?
Like the whole time I was watching, I was like, dude looks really familiar. Who the fuck is that?
Are you talking about Franco?
Yeah. And it wasn't until the end that I was like, Oh, that was fucking James Franco. Fuck.
I know, dude. I had the same experience, man. No, really, I did.
Yeah.
In fact, not only that, but I saw him in the, like I'm looking at it now. Like Netflix stopped doing that thing, that really annoying thing that if you had it on the home screen, and whatever movie you were hovering over, it would start playing the trailer for it. Like, it drove
I
me
hate that
fucking
so
up
much.
the wall. So they stopped doing that, and now what they do is they just do these like still shots, of like whatever's on your currently watching list or your, suggested for you or whatever. Like, right, I'm looking at it right now. It says like Apollo 13 and Lost and all these other things, but even on the still shot for this movie, it was Franco, and I was like, "Oh, who's that actor?" I remember thinking that in my head before I watched it. I was like, "Oh yeah, who's that actor, man? That guy looks familiar to me." And I was like, "Oh, I'll have to look that up on IMDb." And I had the same experience, man. I started watching the vignette, and I was like, it didn't even dawn on me right away, which was so weird because we've seen Franco in like a zillion movies, dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's weird. Once he took the hat off and he had the rope around his neck, it's like he's immediately recognizable.
Yeah. Fucking don't know why. I could not clock him. I was just like, why does he look so familiar? Who is this guy?
Yeah, it was weird. It was totally weird.
It was really weird.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Stephen Root kind of steals the show in this one,
Definitely.
like I don't, there's really not a whole lot after that. I mean, like, yes, there's a bunch of stuff, quote unquote, that happens, you get the Indians and then you get the cattlemen and then, eventually like this posse of guys comes in and just, takes him out. But like, that's it, I think the most interesting part is the Stephen Root section.
Absolutely. I mean, the second time he gets his head in a noose, I was like, how's he going to get out of this one?
Yeah, right?
Nope.
Nope.
That's a pretty girl.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't really have much more to say about that one.
No,
I think
that wraps it up. That's pretty much
right. That does wrap it up.
Stephen Root and Stephen Root.
Stephen Root and Stephen Root. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Root.
Stephen Root.
Whoa. What's the hang on one second. Oh, the meal ticket is the next one. We've been kind of bouncing around, but
yeah, that's fine.
Meal ticket is the next one. So what did you think of this one, man?
It's fucking sad, man.
Right?
It's really fucking sad. It's very dark. Like just the day to day of this,
weird grind.
Yeah, exactly. The fucking Liam Neeson throwing the makeup on this guy and him going out and doing his thing, I'm like, I don't know, it's bleak. It's bleak. It's really bleak.
Right? It's like
snowing half the time, like it's just
the thing about one of the things I really enjoy about the Coen brothers, and if I've mentioned this again, I don't really care. I'm going to say it again. Or if I've mentioned it before, I'll say it again. And they're really great at like conveying. I mean, other directors are good at doing this too, but like in other films are like this. But these guys are really good at like laying out a scene, and you can feel what's going on there. You know what I mean? Like when I'm watching All Gold Canyon, like I can feel like the warmth of the sun and the coolness of the water. You know what I mean? And when I get into this one, I can feel like that cold that just like chills you down to your bones, literally.
Yeah.
And like all of that gray sky and the evening and the night settings and the wind and all of that stuff. Like they're really good at conveying that and letting the audience feel that, you know what I mean? And a lot of their films are like that. No Country pops into my head in particular, but I think that, in this one, like you can really feel it. And it's not just bleak and dark. It's like lonely too, man. There's this sense of like loneliness, traveling around in the mountains in the snow, dude, in a fucking wagon like that. Ugh, and then you add in that's without even talking about the guy with no arms and no legs.
Yeah.
And then you add that guy in, and it's like, wow, what a weird, lonely existence, man,
Yeah. I mean, I was sort of vacillating, like you obviously feel for the limbless fellow.
Yeah.
I guess artist is the billing for the character, and you're like, oh, Jesus, man, these days where they would people would basically pay money just to see somebody like that,
Totally.
like a freak show, basically. But I'm like, well, at least he gets to act, at least he gets to do his monologues, and at least he has an audience that seems to appreciate it, and at least he has somebody to take care of him, and that doesn't pan out either. But I definitely went through a slew of emotions there, and I tried to bright side it, I think, and then you're totally. Oh, and you're there. Okay. I tried to bright side it, and then it probably has one of the fucking darkest endings of any of them, really.
Wait, what? Why do you say that? Because my recollection of the ending is he stops at the spot next to the river, drops the rock in, and then he looks up at the thing, and then that's it.
No, that's not it.
Oh, what the fuck?
He stops at the river, drops the rock in. You're getting the impression that he's checking to see how deep it is.
Yes.
Because, he has the mathematician chicken now. But the next scene is he's riding away in the carriage, and the only thing in the back of it is the fucking chicken.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. So
I must have walked out of the room at that point.
Yeah. So he drowns the artist.
Oh, God, that's dark. Yeah.
Fucking throws him into it. Yeah. It's fucking dark, man.
It is. It's so weird. It's like the guy, the artist seems just kind of, I don't know, maybe not content, but kind of content, he seems very kind of nonplussed about everything. Like he's riding in the back of the wagon and this thing and that thing. And the poor guy has to sit there strapped to a chair while homie's humping a whore in the whorehouse.
Yeah. Yeah. I kept wondering whether he was there, whether it was a partnership or whether he had been, essentially purchased and is being made to do this.
Well, yeah, my mind didn't even have a chance to go there. I was thinking, I got really fixated on the scene inside the brothel, and and for some reason I kept thinking about Liam Neeson, man. I wasn't even thinking about him, doing something nefarious to this guy. I was thinking about, especially when they were around the campfire, the first campfire scene, I was like, man, it must be crazy, never having a break from this, what is the background? Are they related? Are they brothers? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I was like, he just has to take care of this guy, all the time, man.
Mm-hmm.
No break. There's no nothing, man, which is just crazy. So I'm losing myself in my own head. I got really fixated on that for some weird reason, and I never thought about any of those other things. I thought about how lonely it was, and then I thought about Liam Neeson needs a break.
Yeah, that's a valid argument as well, I suppose,
right?
He's, yeah, and that's why I was wondering, what the deal is, right. You said, were they related? Were they brothers, right. Or, what, right. There's a portion of backstory that's missing, I think, on purpose so that you wonder about it, but.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now I want to know even more. You know what I mean? Because you said, I hadn't even thought about that. Did he pick that guy up at some other place just like he did the chicken?
Exactly. Right. what was before him, you know?
Exactly. But the guy doesn't seem like abused, uncared for. Like he seems very well taken care of.
No, he took care of him. He, fed him and did his makeup for him and carted him around everywhere, for sure. Set up everything, obviously he had to be the one to do all of that. But
right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
But
that's an interesting one. It's also kind of short, but it is interesting, and it is, you're right, it is super dark.
Yeah, that one left me feeling quite depressed.
That left me feeling not good.
It made me feel not great.
Right. So now that we're like fully sort of ensconced in the darkness, we move on to the next one, which is the story about this girl. Essentially, I think the girl is kind of the locus of the story, really.
Yes.
Out on the Oregon Trail, or as she said, that a lot of East Coasters say, Oregon, which it ain't. She's on the Oregon Trail with her brother, who seems a little sketch, and his weird dog. And like, it's so like, the pioneer story. And it's like, you're kind of hopeful, and then you kind of get uplifted, and then you're just like, wow, that sucks, man.
Oh, dude. Oh,
right?
God, yeah. Very much so. Yeah, that one takes you for a ride, even though it's
really
not very
does.
long. You're like, it's kind of bleak, and then it's hopeful, and then it's done.
Yeah, I mean, it does take you for a ride. That's a good way to phrase it. Like, you start off at the dinner, there's probably, I feel like, more dialogue at that dinner table than there is in some of the entire other vignettes, and like, so it's interesting, and you're kind of getting some backstory and all this kind of thing. But then you kind of go on this little journey. And I think that one's actually pretty long. That might be one of the longer ones in the whole thing. But, it's like she goes along, and then the brother dies. It's like everything's good, and then the brother dies, and then, it's kind of like, what do I do? And there's this whole thing with the cattle driver and like all of this stuff. And like, there's a little bit of drama going on, and some things are happening. And then it's like, all of a sudden the girl just dies. It's like, it's just sad, dude. It's so sad, man. Especially after that guy, said like, I think I'm going to marry this woman. And then he's like, hey, will you marry me? And she's like, yeah, I will, and he's like a really nice guy. And you're like, now you're like rooting for this young couple, man, Well,
then not only that, they seem to have genuine chemistry. Like they seem to have a lot in common, and they really like talking to each other, and they seem to have a genuine, are developing a genuine affection for each other. Like,
absolutely.
Which, in that day and age seemed kind of a rare thing, like a lot of things seemed to, arranged, etc., where, your personal feelings about your spouse are the least important thing. And the most important thing is, money or land or whatever the fuck else,
Mm-hmm.
So
I think all those points are spot on, dude. And I think that I just wanted to add to that. Like
yes, please.
They speak to each other, and increasingly so as we go on, like with this really cool level of respect for each other. You know what I mean? And it's like that's sort of part of what you see blossoming there. Like I think that's a big part of that, and I really like that a lot, man. It added a really great dynamic to that whole thing. So it's like it's interesting to watch it. And then the older gent, prairie driver guy that we really haven't heard a whole lot from, like all of a sudden that guy comes alive in the end. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying all these things, and all this stuff's happening. He's trying to protect this young woman, and it's just like, boom, dude, gone.
Yeah, I didn't understand why they didn't get more help.
I didn't either.
Like,
because I imagined that the caravan was just over the next rise.
Yeah, it was just there, and they went through this whole hullabaloo, earlier in the segment where they were talking about how, like, the natives don't attack wagon trains typically because it's just too much trouble.
Right.
So, like, you know, like his primary concern when they showed up seemed to be like he didn't want to track them back to the caravan, but like, what would it matter if?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing seemed weird.
Yeah, it was. And you would think that if they got back there as fast as they could, that would be sort of like automatic safe zone.
Yeah, or at least he could send her back to send more help, you know?
Exactly.
That way she'd be out of harm's way and more help would potentially be on the way and he could try to stave him, you know. He was going to hold him off by himself anyways. It wasn't like she was helping, so
Yeah,
it just seemed unnecessary.
No, it was. It was one of those things where you're just kind of like, why aren't you going and doing X? It's right there. You know what I mean? Like almost like in a horror movie, you know, don't open the door. But it's like,
yeah.
You know, why not? Yeah. Why not send her back to get more help? I mean, I'm assuming that the caravan was right over the ridge, but like the kid said, oh, she's just gone off over there.
Yeah.
That it's that dog, President Pierce.
Yeah, they could hear the dog, so it couldn't have been that far away.
Exactly. So there's no way it could have been too far, quote unquote, from the wagon train.
Yeah, it was like just over the hill, you know. Yeah, it seems.
And the
weird.
wagon train was huge, man. When it was circled up, it was massive.
Yeah, yeah, and then he's just like, yeah, well, you know, we'll try to hold them off, but you know, this could happen, and you know.
Yeah.
Like, the guy's just so completely resigned to fucking die right then and there. You're like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Dude.
I know. Even despite that, I really like that one a lot. And the fact that she died just made it more impactful. You know what I mean? So I really did enjoy that one.
Yeah.
The weird.
The Old West was pretty fucking brutal. So I imagine that kind of thing happened a lot.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? I think
if that didn't happen, you got cholera or fucking, you know, TB
any number
or
of things.
Yeah, any number of things.
Well, I was thinking too, like when they were coming at him and they just kept falling and he kept saying prairie, what did he say? Prairie dog or prairie hole or something like that. And it's like the horses were falling into the prairie dog holes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, that. You could hit a prairie dog hole. Your horse could fall in. You could go flying, break your freaking neck. You know, like I don't know what it is, man, but I think about all that stuff. I certainly do now. And I certainly did when I was watching this movie. I was like, all these things could happen. And I mean,
it doesn't even have to be that. Your horse could step into the hole. You could fall off of it and break your arm and have a compound fracture. And that's it. You're fucking done.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're fucking gangrene and you're done. Or you're having a fucking, you know, a surgeon, in quotes, you know, or a barber essentially fucking, you know, cutting your arm off with a hacksaw.
Exactly. Get out your hacksaw.
And then your odds of dying are still very high. You know?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Glory with Matthew Broderick?
I definitely have, but it has been a while.
Well, Denzel, I'm pretty sure that was Denzel's best supporting actor Oscar, and he was in that movie. It was about the first Black Civil War regiment. It's one of my favorite films. And in that movie, you can see the doctors in the army hospital sawing dudes' legs off with hacksaws, and it's just... It's not even that you can see them, but you can see them behind a sheet, and you can hear them screaming. And that's screaming. What it is. Oh, God, it's so awful, dude.
Yeah, nothing here. Have a sip of whiskey and bite down on this piece of leather.
Yeah, right. That's exactly. Exactly. And I think, like, you know, the kind of the cool thing about this movie as a whole is that it's showing you all these various different glimpses into the Old West. It just so happens that they're all pretty damn dark, dude. You know, it's like they could have named this movie like, these are all the ways you can die in the Old West. You know,
yeah.
It would have been applicable because, like,
right? Isn't that the Seth MacFarlane movie?
I think it's A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Right.
Yeah. So my name is These are all the ways you can die. These are some of the ways you can die.
Some of the ways you can die. Here are some examples.
Right? Here are some examples of the horrible death you will find in the Wild West. So, that as a whole, that's kind of what it's about, in one sense, But this one I liked because it was, tragic at the end and very, very sad. But like a lot of the in-between parts were great, especially the relationship between her and, Billy McNabb or Nab.
Yeah.
So.
Who played Billy?
I looked it up before and I don't recall. Hang on one second.
I was watching that portion on my phone and it was like just small enough that I couldn't see particularly well. And I was like, is that fucking Keanu? I know it wasn't him because, later, but when he first shows up, like all I could kind of see was like the shape of his beard. And I was like, kind of sounds like Keanu. That looks like his beard. No, I know it's not. But
so it's Billy Knapp is the character. The actor's name is Bill Heck.
He was good.
He was good. He was really good. I don't really know any of these other things that he's done. Ray Donovan, the movie. Oh, he was in that show, The Old Man.
That's where I fucking know him.
Yeah, he played young Dan Chase in that. I've seen the first season. I didn't see the second season.
He was, young. That's where I know him from.
Mm-hmm.
Because he did look familiar.
Yes, you do.
Okay, then. Glad we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
All right.
So, this last one really kind of... It's almost like a horror movie. Like, the setting is very horror-esque, It's like this carriage ride in the middle of the night, and it's cold, and it's sketchy, and all this kind of thing. And then it's like... they're talking about the bounty hunters and who they're after and the guy strapped on the roof. And like, I don't know. It kind of gave me that kind of vibe, like this horror movie vibe of like somebody's going to die as soon as they get to wherever they're going,
Yes, absolutely. It had the horror movie vibes. I don't know. Did you see Hateful Eight?
I did.
It's like kind of similar vibes there, with a limited
sort of
limited cast in a tight space, sort of, a pressure cooker. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I feel that. I feel that.
So like, were they, I wasn't 100% clear. Like, were they all dead? Like, was this like a,
oh boy.
Was the ghost a dog or?
Let me take a look, because I was not exactly clear on that either.
No, I was not clear at all.
5 passengers crammed in a stagecoach share life philosophies, only to realize that looks can be deceiving. That doesn't really tell me a whole lot.
Yeah, great synopsis.
I know, right?
I mean, I've got another one here that basically just describes their conversations. It doesn't mention anything.
Yeah.
I
don't
guess
know.
The twist isn't that they're dead, but the other 3 are kind of like unsettled about the fact that the Englishman and the Irishman are like bounty hunters.
Oh, wait. It's the Englishman and the Irishman?
Yes.
Oh.
And the dude that played the Irishman, I know him from like a million things.
Yeah, it's
and
Brendan
had no
Gleeson.
idea that he had such a lovely singing voice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Brendan Gleeson, dude.
Was he in Any Which Way But Loose?
No.
No.
Any Which Way
Brendan
But Loose?
Gleeson, right.
He was in 28 Days Later.
He looks a tiny bit like the motorcycle gang leader in that movie.
In which movie? Any Which Way But Loose?
Any Which Way But Loose, yeah.
No, he wasn't even on anybody's radar back then. His kid was in Donald Gleason was in Ex Machina. Yeah, Ex Machina and Star Wars and all that stuff. And Donald Gleason was in Dread as the computer guy that got his eyes replaced.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he was in everything for a minute.
So I mean,
yeah, I'm dead. I'm thoroughly dead.
Yeah, you're definitely dead for that.
Very dead.
So yeah, Brendan Gleeson. All right, so let me give you this like nuclear Brendan Gleeson death. Yeah, he's been in about a zillion million things. I mean, the thing to me, I got so caught up on all the actors in this one, you know. So you've got Brendan Gleeson. I don't know who the English kid was, but you've got Saul Rubinek, Tyne Daly, and then the Trapper. And my question to you was that I'd been planning on posing to you was, did you pick up on who the tracker was?
I did not.
Because he's been, I don't know if you've got IMDb open, but he's been in so many things. And the second you see his face on IMDb, you're going to be like, holy shit.
I do have IMDb open, so.
Okay, I could tell if you scroll down the cast list for this, it kind of goes in the order of the vignettes. And
All the way to the bottom.
when I started the watching it, I was like, okay. And then I was listening to his voice, and I was like, this guy sounds so familiar, man. He sounds like this guy from Above the Law with Seagal. And sure enough, it was him.
Chelsea Ross?
Yeah, the actor's name is
totally
Chelsea
know
Ross. Exactly. He's been in like 8 million things that you've seen. And he's great.
Yeah, I didn't
Excuse
clock
me,
him
he's
at
great.
all.
Of course not, dude. He's got a full beard. He's a lot older than he was, like all that stuff, right? I didn't pick it up right away either. It was his voice that cued me in. But, you know, I just think I love that guy. And I've loved the million things that I've seen him in. He's played so many great bit parts and supporting roles over the years, you know, going all the way back through the 80s. And to see him with these really just legendary, excellent actors in this scene, I thought was fantastic. I really liked the inclusion. He deserved it.
Very cool. Yeah, that last one was another one that I watched on the phone, and I probably shouldn't have. So
yeah,
I didn't really clock who was who.
I get it, but still, like I'm defending you. I'm saying like the story's a little strange, you know, like they all get unhinged because they're bounty hunters, but it has this more like werewolf kind of vibe going on. You know what I mean? Where you think that like by the time they get to the destination, and she's like, oh, well, aren't one of you guys going to open the door for me? Like nobody wants to go inside. So it's like, what's waiting inside? And then the carriage guy drives off and you're like, what about their luggage?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So the weird things that I think about, but like, I was like, wait, hold on. What about the luggage? And then where the two bounty hunters disappear. So it's like, what the hell is going on? I don't know. That one was a little odd. I did like the dialogue was good inside the carriage, and I did like watching those 5. Like,
yeah, it was solid. That was the whole
crank it out
thing,
yeah.
really.
Yeah, it was cool. So anyway, any other thoughts about that?
Not particularly.
Dude.
It wasn't completely off.
No, you were not completely off at all. This is pretty damn close, dude.
John Quaid was the guy that was in Any Which Way But Loose, but they look a little bit like, not really, you know, but like in certain, if you look quick, you might be like.
No, it's definitely, they got the same spec, as I would say. Right? And besides, that guy's probably, that's Doug Quaid's uncle.
Same Android, different trim package.
That's right. Get your ass to Mars. Anyway, all right, let's wrap this up, man. Let's take her out back and tie her to the tree. I don't have any... That's it. I don't have any... I don't have any nuggets. Bits and bobs?
Yeah. No, kind of fucking bit and bobbed our way through the thing, didn't we?
Well, yeah, we kind of combed it. We combed it with a pretty tight comb,
Yeah, I
so
think
that's
so.
fine. Deaths.
Many.
So we did, and I was really surprised and pleasantly surprised because I always want the death count to be solid, and lately it never is, and that's what it is. But we had some good ones. So I had the Tim Roth nuclear take me out behind the chemical shed death, and then you had the Mark Ruffalo death, and then I ejected on Michelle Dockery, and then you had the nuclear Brendan Gleeson death. I should add to that the Brendan Gleeson any which way but loose death.
The fucking Quaid fusion.
Hold on, I'm going to add that in. Quaid fusion.
Quaidflation.
Quaid fusion. That's so good. I love it. Oh boy. All right. So yeah, four really good deaths. I like that. All right. Recommendations. Would you recommend this movie?
Yeah, I think I would. Now that you know what you're in for. If you're going in cold, you might have the same reaction. But if you know what you're going in for, then I think you'll enjoy it if you're a fan of westerns, if you're a fan of the Coen Brothers or any of the actors that we've mentioned. You'll have a grand old time.
I think I'll simplify it. Definitely see it. It's great. If you're a Coen Brothers fan, you'll love it. The simplification would be don't be fooled by the first sketch. It kind of uplifts you and sets this tone, but it's dark. The rest of it is dark, just like most of the other Coen Brothers work. You know what I mean? Because that was something that we didn't really mention was that most of their work is like that. You know what I mean? You get so thrown off by that first vignette that you're just kind of like, oh, this is going to be like cool and different and whatever. I mean, Oh Brother is kind of like, kind of a goofier, lighter tone, but like a lot of their movies are like dark, like No Country and Fargo and like all these things, right? So that's the only thing I'll say, but definitely go see it. It's totally worth it.
Indeed.
Benny, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we are going to do the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Ooh, nice. And that's a Guy Ritchie film, correct?
Is that a Guy? It is indeed. Directed by Guy Ritchie. Yes.
Is it?
And the stars are old pal, friend of the show, Henry Cavill. Good old Hank Cavill.
Ooh, nerdy Cavill. We like that.
Another
Good
friend
old
of the show,
Hank.
Babs Alusin McCone. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
good
right.
Stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I watched pretty much the whole thing once, and it was really good. So I'm excited for another watch through already. So that'll be good. So yeah, get excited about that, folks. And of course, Chad will be with us for that one next week. So please join us for that. The other thing too, just wanted to say Happy New Year to everybody out there.
Happy New Year, listeners. Happy New Year.
Yeah, we hope that you had a good holiday season. We hope you weren't too put off by us taking 3 weeks off this year. I don't think we've ever taken that long of a stretch of time off.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody will be okay. And it was good to have a little bit of a break. It certainly was for me. So, and Benny got to see Chad while he was here visiting from Australia. I unfortunately did not get to go see him, but.
Yes, got to see Chad and the family. It was great.
Yeah, good times. So we hope that everybody's well. We hope that you are healthy and happy in the new year, and we hope that you guys had a good holiday season. And that's about it. So thanks for joining us for Buster Scruggs, and we'll see you next week for the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Wow, that is a mouthful.
It is.
And that's it.
And a bit of a tongue twister.
It is. So long for now, folks.
Groovy.
And that's going to wrap up this week's show, folks. If you'd like to check out the show notes for this episode, you can do so at your podcast app of choice. Order a website, ebd.fm/episodes/286. As always, we'd like to thank everybody for listening and supporting the show. It means a lot to us. That's why I like doing the outro live every single time, because it's important. It's important that you hear the thanks that we are giving to you, the listeners, because we mean it. I'm not taking the piss right now. I mean it. Thank you all so much. For anybody that's a new listener that would like to support the show more, there's a number of great ways you can do that. Leaving us a simple review is very powerful. Also, talking to people, telling your friends about the show, that is also very helpful and very powerful. And if you want to give us actual cash or gift cards, you can do so on Patreon, patreon.com/EBD podcast. And for any of you that would like to join us on social media, you can on Instagram. Yay! At EBD podcast. Come join in on the wacky conversation. And that's it. Happy New Year to everybody. Thanks for joining us for Buster Scruggs. We'll see you next week for the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. So long for now, folks.
Beady, beady, beady. Stop it, do it.